Have you ever stopped in the middle of a quiet night, when the world is still, and felt that sudden, sharp chill of existential dread? We all have. You look up at the vast expanse of the cosmos, those millions of distant stars, and you wonder, one day, this will all end. Your heartbeat will stop. Your thoughts will cease. And then, what? Is there a destination? A sudden void? Or does our consciousness simply slip into something else entirely? Today, we aren't talking about ghosts or folklore. We are diving deep into the intersection of cutting-edge neuroscience, ancient philosophy, and the unsettling reality of the final threshold. We're talking about the one mystery that every human being who has ever lived has been forced to face. What actually happens when we die? Let's start with the hard, cold science. When the brain loses its oxygen supply, it doesn't just turn off like a light switch. It goes through a chaotic final symphony of activity. For the first few minutes after clinical death, researchers have actually recorded a massive spike in brain activity. It's like a final firework display in the dark. Some scientists theorize that this is the brain dumping every memory, every experience, and every emotion in a desperate attempt to find a pattern, or perhaps to make sense of the end. Could this be the origin of the life flashing before your eyes phenomenon? It's a biological survival mechanism, a final scan of the hard drive before the system crashes. But what happens after that? Once the neurons stop firing, do we really just go dark? Or is there something that remains, something that physics simply hasn't caught up to yet? We have all heard the stories, the bright light at the end of a tunnel, the feeling of floating above your own body, meeting lost loved ones, the overwhelming sense of peace. For a long time, the medical community dismissed these as mere hallucinations, the result of a starving, oxygen-deprived brain trying to comfort itself. But as we continue to study near-death experiences, or NDS, the data is getting harder to ignore. There are cases, documented, verified cases, of people who were brain dead on an operating table, yet they were able to recall specific conversations happening in a different room, or describe objects in the hallway that they had no physical way of seeing. How does a hallucinating brain see around corners? This is where it gets unsettling. Some physicists are starting to wonder if consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain, but something more fundamental to the universe, like gravity or space-time. If the brain is just an antenna, then when the antenna breaks, the signal doesn't disappear. It just detaches. Let's pivot to the philosophical. If you want to terrify yourself, think about the concept of non-existence. We often imagine death as being stuck in a dark room forever, but that's not non-existence. That's just darkness. True non-existence is like the time before you were born. Do you remember what it felt like to be a star in the galaxy before you were conceived? Of course not. It wasn't dark and it wasn't boring. It simply wasn't. Many philosophers, from the Stoics to the existentialists, argued that death is the ultimate equalizer because it is the only thing that belongs entirely to the individual. It is the one experience you can never share. But here is a radical thought. If time is not linear, if the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously in a higher dimension, then do we ever really die? In a block universe, you are currently being born. You are currently living this moment, and you are currently experiencing the end. You are an eternal segment of the timeline. Death might just be the limit of our perspective, not the limit of our existence. We know from the first law of thermodynamics that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes form. When your body dies, the electrical energy that powers your neurons, the chemical energy in your cells, and the thermal energy in your blood, all of it continues. It is released back into the environment, into the ecosystem, into the earth. Is it possible that our consciousness, which is essentially information, is subject to the same laws of conservation? Could it be that when we die, we are simply being redistributed back into the quantum field of the universe? This isn't just New Age talk. This is the foundation of some of the most advanced theories in modern physics. If we are made of star stuff, then perhaps the self is just a temporary arrangement of that stardust. When the arrangement breaks, the dust goes back to the stars. You aren't disappearing. You are finally, truly becoming part of the whole again. The reason we are so obsessed with what happens after death isn't just curiosity, it's fear. We are terrified of the idea that we are nothing more than biological machines. We want to believe that we are special, that we are eternal, that our memories have weight. But maybe the beauty is in the fragility. Maybe the fact that our time is limited, that our consciousness is a brief flicker in an infinite dark, is exactly what makes this life worth living. If we lived forever, would any moment matter? If we knew for certain what came next, would we ever truly value the now? Maybe the greatest mystery isn't what happens after we die. Maybe the mystery is why we are here, in this specific fleeting moment, with the ability to ask the question in the first place. As we close this out, I want you to take a breath. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. That simple rhythmic movement, that is life. The mystery of death will remain until the day it happens to each of us. But don't let the fear of the unknown steal the beauty of the known. You are here. You are conscious. You are witnessing the universe and whatever lies on the other side of that final threshold. I like to think it's just the next part of the adventure. What do you think? Is there something waiting for us? Or is it just the lights going out? Let me know your theories in the comments. Stay curious.